Well, we're here this morning over at M&M Truck Polishing in Eloy, Arizona, and he's over there working on the truck as we speak. Right now he's doing the grill. He's been doing the tanks and wheels and all that. So let's go over and show you how they do all this. Now, why are you putting that different wheel on there?
Softer wheel. When you got diamond plate or like a very, very rough surface,
yeah,
softer wheel, not a harder wheel.
Really?
Everybody would tell you a harder wheel. Well, when you keep that harder wheel on it, everything turns black, right?
Yeah.
See how it's all doing right here?
Yeah.
Watch this.
Yeah.
Same room, softer wheel. That power? For anything that's rough, watch this. Show you a
little salt, liquid. Yeah.
Oh yeah, a little softener. Watch.
truck, we're in Arizona here. I was getting the truck polished out, and the next customer in line is, what's your name?
Eric.
Nice to meet you, Eric.
Nice to meet you.
He's a driver, and got to talking with him a little bit while we were watching the guys polish my truck up, and kind of find out he's a very young driver, just as I was one day. How old are you?
23.
23 years old. So it means you haven't been driving very long. What,
No.
a couple months?
No, I would say 2 years.
2 years.
from
Okay.
now, yeah.
23 years old. You've been driving for 2 years. So you got in right when you turned 21 then?
Yes, sir.
How did you do that?
When I barely got my license, my dad taught me how to drive, so I didn't have to go to trucking school or anything.
So your dad's a truck driver?
Yeah, my dad's a truck driver. My dad owns a truck driving company. So that's
Big company like Swift?
No. I mean, I wish we were that big, you know.
So you're
I wouldn't be working right now.
How many trucks?
My dad owns 5 trucks.
5
trucks, yeah.
That's a whole lot more than I ever owned. I only owned one at a time. So his dad owns 5 trucks, and you started driving for him at what age?
21. I couldn't drive for him until I was 21 because I got my license when I was around 20 and a half. And I had drove local until I got a little bit more experience.
Drove local with who? I mean, not with name, but what type, what kind of?
Yeah, we were hauling water for, like, I would say Stater Brothers, Walmart, or the big stores.
Bottled water?
Yeah, bottled water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like construction water where you sprinkle the dirt.
No,
this
water
is,
bottle.
Oh, okay. In a drive-in or flat?
Drive-in.
Drive-in, okay. So you did a local job. Now, how you can do that at 19 or 18?
Yeah, you can do that over there in California. I mean, you can start driving a semi when you're 18 and go out of state when you're 21.
Oh, okay, you have to stay local.
Yeah, that's why I stayed local until I turned 21.
Now, how you can do all of California, or just within a few miles?
What I know, I think it is all California, which you stay in the state of California, but I'm not completely sure.
Don't know. Okay.
Yeah, because I only did like around, I would say 150 miles radius.
Right. I was going to say there's a 150-mile thing where for no logbooks, and I didn't know if that was for the driver's license too or whatever. So, but anyway, you can't go across state lines. That's for sure. Then, okay. So you can't go across state lines. You started when you were 19.
20 and a half.
20 and a half. So you did okay for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then when you became 21, your dad says get in the truck and go to work. Okay. What kind of trailer you haul?
Right now I'm doing reefer loads.
It's a reefer.
Yes.
That's all you've ever done?
No, I did flatbed at first.
Flatbed at first,
yes,
okay.
Flatbed
construction stuff?
Well, yeah, all construction stuff, hay, tires.
Okay.
A lot of oversized loads. I mean,
okay, wow. Okay, well, so started at 21, you're 23 now, and you've been 2 years of driving. And where do you run now? All over the country, everywhere, or just
right
Southwest?
now, I'm doing usually the East Coast loads. I mean, I start in Vista, California, start dropping in Oklahoma, then I have another drop in Connecticut, and then I would go to Massachusetts. I mean,
I'm glad he's going to Massachusetts because I hate Massachusetts.
I mean, it's kind of far.
No, I don't hate Massachusetts. I don't like the Northeast because it's way too crowded, too much traffic and everything. It's hard to find a place to park and all that. So we'll let the younger guys do that. I put my dues in, so it's time for him to put his dues in. So, all right. So, what are your plans then? Are you gonna keep driving for 100 years, or are you gonna be an old fart like me, or
right now I just
you gonna get your own trucking company like your dad?
Well, I don't, and I do. I mean, I do because I mean it's good money. It's a great business, and I don't because I don't want to be away from my family so much.
Right.
So I mean, so far what I have planned is just to work a couple of years, get a truck or two, and then get some drivers and see how that works out.
Okay, I've got a good friend of mine that he just bought a brand new Peterbilt and a brand new trailer, and he went and bought a truck and trailer for a driver he's hiring. And I'm like, wow, I always had to start out with the junky equipment and work up to the nice stuff. So, but sounds like you could probably follow his footsteps pretty easy. He's out of Dallas and he does the same kind of thing. I think he's got 4 trucks now. So, and he's 30 years old, I think. So, he's well on his way to being a successful businessman, I think. So maybe you could do something like that. But where was I going to go? Oh, now you didn't go to any truck driving school or anything like this?
No, I didn't.
How'd you learn?
My dad taught me. My dad taught me, like in the yard where we would park. I mean, he would come inside and I would run to his truck and be like, hey, let me drive it, let me park the truck between the trailers.
That was a practice?
That was a practice. So the way I got my license, I studied the handbook. So I went to the DMV took my written test,
Mm-hmm.
passed it, and then got my permit.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I started driving with me. When I was 20,
You have to have somebody in the seat with you?
Yes, when I was 21, the little bit of knowledge we had is that once you're 21 and then someone's with me, I can drive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we started doing, my dad and me. Started going out the streets, started showing me how to shift. So that's how I learned with the trailer. And
So you went to
shifting.
daddy truck driving school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you did go to a school of some sort, but it wasn't
like I didn't pay for it.
Got it. Right. It wasn't a big school type thing. So, so you did learn. You got more schooling than I did. I learned I learned how to drive a truck in the Army, I guess. Farm truck as a kid, and then Army, and then when I got out of the military, I was looking around for a job, and somebody says, "Here's a flatbed. Go to Pennsylvania," and they gave me the keys. I'm like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I knew how to drive. I knew how to physically get it from point A to point B. I knew nothing else. I didn't even know what a logbook was. I mean, I knew nothing. I learned it all on my own from other drivers talking on the CB. So old, school of hard knocks, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's hard to do that anymore. You just about have to have some kind of schooling, whether it's a actual business or like your father teaching you or something, somehow getting into the business.
Yeah.
But trying to think what else to talk about. What did I ask you up front? Well, what kind of truck do you got?
I have a Kenworth T2000, 13 speed.
Okay, is that your dad's, or did you buy
I own it.
You bought it.
I bought it off my dad.
Okay. Oh, you bought it from your dad.
Yes.
Okay. In 13 speed?
Yes.
What? Do you know anything about these automatics?
No.
You don't? You never seen them? Or never dealt with them?
I have never driven one.
Didn't know they were. Okay.
I mean, I knew they existed, but I have never driven one.
How many of your dad's trucks are automatic?
None.
Okay. How many people do you know that have automatics?
None.
There you go. That's one of the big things with the channel, with a previous video, was everybody's talking about these automatic transmissions and how wonderful they are. And the bigger companies like Swift and the training companies, they'll buy the automatics because it's easier to find somebody out of school to drive them, because they don't have to worry about shifting. All they have to do is worry about steering and not hitting stuff, which they don't do a very good job. So can you imagine how many accidents they'd have if they did have to worry about shifting?
I know, imagine.
God. So anyway, the automatics, would you interested in one, or
Honestly, I wouldn't.
just manual's fine,
yeah.
right? There's nothing wrong with it, right? So that's my opinion on them is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's nothing wrong with them, and if any truck driver worth his salt should know how to shift. I mean,
Exactly.
that's just kind of an old man's opinion of it, but still, if you're self-respecting truck driver, any self-respecting truck driver ought to know how to shift a truck. So that's the way I look at it. But what do I know? I'm old fuddy-duddy. But what else? Oh, and the Tesla truck. Have you ever heard of the Tesla truck?
No.
Really? Hasn't heard of the Tesla truck? Oh, I made a video. Somebody was asking me in the comments about the Tesla truck this and the Tesla truck that. What's this Tesla truck? So I did a little Google search, and there's this real aerodynamic looking, sleek looking truck, and it's what's his name? Elon Musk. He's building this, the Tesla cars. Well, he's building this Tesla semi too, and they're talking about how it's just going to take over the trucking industry. And you've been driving for 2 years and haven't even heard of it. I mean, I asked him, what do you think about the Tesla truck? And he's like, the what? So if it is going to take over the industry, wouldn't you think a young man that is tech savvy, when I first started talking to him, he's on his phone messing around just like all young men do on their phones, and he's never even heard of it. So how's that going to take over the industry in 5 years? You see, that's the point I was trying to make. So trying to think what else. You got it? Okay, you got any questions for me? With the YouTube or my old 30 years of driving, or would I do anything different, or
the question that I would want to ask a person like you that's been driving for a long time is what do you recommend for us to I would say a good advice for us to do that we're already started driving?
Stay away from lot lizards. Do you know what lot lizards are? No. You don't know what lot lizards are?
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to prove the point. There is the younger group of truck. When I first got into truck driving, drugs were a big deal, and lot lizards, which were ladies of the evening, streetwalkers in the truck stop, and that was a big deal back then, 30 years ago. But that's all kind of changed and went away. And all you tell people you're a truck driver, and that's one of the first things they jokingly ask about. Oh, about lot lizards. I haven't seen a lot lizard in 10, 15 years. I mean, they've kind of died out. There's just no business for them apparently. And as far as drugs, you can't afford to do drugs at all because of the drug testing and stuff. I mean, you get drug tested. I mean, you have to be part of a drug testing system, and are you leased to your father?
No, it's his company. I'm under his insurance.
Okay, so you're leased.
I'm as a driver. That's
Okay.
why I work with them. But it's just when I haul the loads or when I grab, because I look for my own loads as well.
Okay.
Like nobody gives me my loads or anything.
Okay, but I mean the name on the door is.
Oh yeah, it's his.
It's, okay.
Yeah.
So when he has his trucking company, he has to have some kind of a system set up to where he can do drug tests for his drivers. And there's real small companies usually have join up like OIDA or something like that. The big companies have their own in-house whatever, and they send drivers down. Because if you like me, I own one truck and one trailer. It's kind of hard to surprise myself with a drug check. So you have to have somebody else in charge of it. So, but yeah, you have to be. The trucking companies now, I mean, you have to have a drug testing system in place so that you can surprise drug check a driver at any time. Like I might get a call this afternoon, go get drug tested, and they might pull you up once a year. I've had companies pull me up three or four times a year. Others work for them for 5 years and never get one. But the federal government enforces that, and you have to go by some guidelines there. So you can't afford to do drugs, because if you do and you get caught, then you lose your license and you're out of a job. Your career is shot. So I mean, lot lizards and drugs, that's kind of out of the trucking system now. I mean, it just doesn't happen very much, and so as far as back to your question about advice, keep your driving record real clean. If you ever do get a ticket, make sure you run down to the judge and talk to him and work out some kind of, maybe do some community service or something, but keep your record clean. Because if your record gets too dirty, for one, you can't get hired. If you got your own truck and your own name on the door, you can't get insurance. Okay, so that little piece of plastic that has your name and your little picture, that license, keep it extremely clean. That's your gold right there. That little piece of plastic is what you make your money with, not the truck. Okay, so that'd be one of my advice. Anything else? I mean, another question?
Another question comes to my mind. I mean, what's your favorite route?
Southwest.
Southwest.
Yeah. It's hot during the summer. I'm sweaty a little bit today. It's going to be probably close to 100 today, probably down there.
Yeah, around there.
But it's dry, so even though it's hot, it's not uncomfortable. You get a little bit of a breeze and you're cool. We're sitting in the shade. I'm fine. Stand out here in the sun, it gets hot.
Yeah.
But the Northeast is just draw a line from the Northwest down to Florida. From Washington State down to Florida. Anywhere Southwest, I like. Anywhere north. The farther Northeast I go, the less I like. The farther Southwest I go, the more I like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Florida, but Florida's too humid.
I know.
Okay?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Washington, but actually nothing wrong with Washington. I mean, it just the mountains in the winter. After you drive for so many years, you realize where the easy driving is and where the hard driving is. And if you have to drive 500 miles, would you rather do it in Utah or New Jersey?
Me?
Well, yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. The open country is a lot easier to drive in, less traffic and just, more open country, and you can see it's pretty. You go to New Jersey, all you see is cars all around you, and city, and it's hectic driving versus relaxed driving. Okay, anything else?
What kind of freight do you haul? or?
Well, I don't haul anything right now. I haul brand new trailers. What kind of cargo would I suggest? If you don't mind tarping, flatbed is the way to go, I think. Trucking, flatbeds, the customers are a little easier to get along with, I think. Reefers and dry vans, you're going into these cold storages and dry food warehouses and stuff, and the people in there, they treat you, you know the old thing of getting treated like a number. You get treated worse. So I believe the polish guy's done, so we're gonna have to wrap this up. But Eric, thank you much for your interview, and wish I could have thought of better questions to ask. Oh well, it is what it is. We'll see what we can't put this together and get it up to you guys. All right, ciao.